And welcome back to the third season of the Vulcan Nation podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Barnhart, Director of Alumni Relations. With me today, we have another very special guest. I'm pleased to introduce everybody to Summer Rothrock, class of 2006. She is the Director of the Office of Cross-Cultural and Leadership Development at the University of Pittsburgh main campus. Summer, welcome to the Vulcan Nation.
Hi Ryan, thank you. This is so fun. And season 3, that's awesome.
Yeah, right. We're our season 2 work from home as we continue to work from home. We decided to switch it up though. So we're moving into season 3 now. And we're very pleased to have you here with us today. And we like to get right down to business here on the Vulcan Nation podcast and allow our guests to introduce themselves to our viewers, our listeners, and tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of like your background at Cal U, what you're involved in, and kind of how and where you are now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so as Ryan said, my name is Summer Rothrock. While at Cal U, Summer Staub, and graduated in 2006 with a bachelor's in English and journalism, and then went to the University of Pittsburgh for graduate school right after graduation. And so that educational background, I think, really gives you a little bit of glimpse into my day-to-day life. Consider myself a mother and partner, student affairs professional, and small business owner. And so you've already introduced my title, but I serve as the director in the Office of Cross-Cultural and Leadership Development in Student Affairs at the University of Pittsburgh. I've been in that department for 13 years. Started in that department right as I was finishing up graduate school and have done a variety of roles because I love the work of CCLD, as we call it. Really believe in the work that we do, which is in sort of 5, we call them bucket areas, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and our cross-cultural or identity-based student organizations. We do programming for international students as well as student organizations. We do leadership development work for our undergraduate students, social, fraternity, and sorority life, and the Office of Interfaith Dialogue and Engagement are all part of my team in CCLD, really talented team. And I just really love the work that we do. I really believe deeply in our mission to create global leaders, which includes doing work in identity development, learning about others, and really developing those critical leadership skills that I actually believe I developed at Cal U. And so it's really full circle for me.
Well, and we're definitely going to talk about that. But, I was creeping on your LinkedIn here before, and it's cool to see how, you've kind of been there and just worked and seen every aspect of it. So, really knowing the department and probably inside out is probably very beneficial to not only the people that report to you, but also your students that you impact on the daily.
Yeah, I love having been there so long. And that wasn't my plan. And so I also always like to tell people that I honestly thought I'd work there 1 year as I finished up graduate school, and then I would job search and maybe move closer to where my mother and father are. And then I feel like fate, love, I have no idea, but I really fell in love with the department and my mentor, who is actually still my boss. So I've also been with the same supervisor for 13 years, which is really exciting and has done wonders for my development, both as an employee, but also as a supervisor. But it is true that I do feel like I'm able to give students more of a historical perspective about our office, as well as I've seen how many first-year students come into our office and then graduate. Watching those graduating classes is everything for a student affairs professional, because it means that we've done our jobs.
Oh yeah, that's the success part, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's cool too. I think just like higher ed is a black hole, right? Like no one ever sets out because they want to work in higher ed, but once you're in it, it's hard to get out, because it is very rewarding, at least in my opinion, in that respect, to connect with students and see how things that you come up with or programs that you create or content that you have for them really can affect and impact. And like you said, you're building global leaders, and it's cool probably to see that global impact. I mean, that's pretty impressive also.
It's really cool. And it's also sometimes a long game. So your program may not impact them that day.
Right. Absolutely.
put all the pieces together and you will eventually see the impact. And so sometimes there's patience involved, just like I say that about parenting. Like I can say the same things over and over again, but I may also be waiting a few years until one of my kids is like, oh, I finally got it.
Pays off, right? I know, like I just turned 35 and I swear there's still things my dad told me 30 years ago that are like, oh, that's what he meant, like for sure, it's the long game. I think sometimes.
Yeah, I get that. Yesterday, our washing machine broke. And so I
Oh,
called
no.
my mom and I was like, how many cubic feet do I want in a washing machine? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, no, you should know this. Like, isn't that? She's like, you're a mother. I'm like, no, you're my mother. I need to know
Right.
what is the size difference in a washing machine.
That's absolutely correct. There's no shame there. I agree. So talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more about your story at Cal U and how and some of the things that help shape the narrative to where you are now, right? So right now our campaign for future students at the university and future alumni also is unlocking your story. So what maybe skills or pathways specifically did Cal U help you unlock within yourself and then within your career later on?
Yeah. So I think first of all, I love that unlocking your story, like the storytelling and knowing your own story and how that shapes you, but also can help you give back to others is really critical. And so I think part of my story that's important for me to start off with is that I am a first generation college student.
Absolutely.
And so I had to navigate the college application process and learning about college life for the first time with very supportive parents. But also, I always like to say that my mom has all of the possibilities of being like a helicopter parent. However, she didn't know who to call on a college campus. And so I got like lucky on that she would not call people for me because she didn't know who to call, but she could have had she figured out those resources. And so as a first generation college student, which I think does shape a lot of my story of just figuring out what I needed in a college experience, and then also what I didn't know I needed in a college experience. And so I think that there's a few things. One, while at Cal U, I am a sister of Sigma Kappa sorority, and joining Greek life at Cal U was an amazing opportunity for me to make truly lifelong friends, but also to see how a values-based organization lives those values every day, because it was a brand new concept. I knew nothing about fraternity and sorority life prior to deciding to go to recruitment in the spring of my first year, and didn't know what to expect. And I think that was probably one of the best things. I know it was the best thing. Have also provide oversight for Pitt fraternity and sorority life, right, and have just a deep love of that values-based organization experience. Also was a peer mentor. And Karen, well, I was there named Karen Poza, now Karen Armheim.
Amrine.
Thank you. I knew I was going to mess it up. I even practiced. I stopped.
No, you're good. It's all good. I mess it up all the time.
Had a major impact on me in learning what mentoring can do for your life. And so now I always believe in having a mentor, being a mentor. That did so much for me because I'd never had a mentor before. It was a really new concept. I thought it was just somebody who was just like an info guide, and it's so much more. And like learning how to build those mentoring relationships were extremely impactful. And then my other major leadership thing that happened while at Cal U that I really credit why I'm in student affairs is I was a student ambassador with the Welcome Center, which I know that structure has changed a little bit. But Jen and that entire team, Carrie and Karen, they really helped me to learn how to use all of your leadership skills to create positive influence. So giving tours to prospective students, really understanding what it meant to sort of be the face of the university from a student perspective, and learning about all the areas. It's where I learned that student affairs was even a career. I had no idea how they got to that point. But I remember watching them and thinking like, that's exactly what I want to do. Their passion every day was something I wanted to embody. And I really appreciate that and think I do. Like, I really hope I'm doing them proud as well.
Well, yeah, it's like, you know, it's that whole like you were the next generation of higher ed professionals whenever you were in school, and now you're like training the next generation, you know, the students that come through your programming and work in your office. Yeah, right. So it's like full circle, and it's like this great secret society or something like that. I don't know, right? Some you know, we will glorify it as much as we can. So talking about that though a little more, like Jen and Karen and those folks, your supporting cast, so to speak, in your story. Yeah. Any other like classes or professors or other staff members, or even like your CalU friends or sorority sisters that helped you along the way into developing, you know, who you became, and even now, you know, do you still maintain those relationships and, you know, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I think first, I had that question as a prep question for you about favorite professors, and I think for me, when I had to think, because I had a few classes that I could think back to that I really enjoyed, including electives and gen eds, but really I think my journalism classes, and while I'm not a professional journalist or even a professional writer, I have found that like Professor Carlisle and Professor Wilson instilled in me a love and respect for writing that I try to work into my everyday, work into ways that I still really feel passionately about writing out my emotions and my feelings, and contributing via written word. When sometimes I feel like I can't find the words to speak it, I can at least write it down. But also they really instilled in me, especially Professor Carlisle, the importance of research to get it right, to not allow your own perspective to cloud your writing or to create an environment where you're only telling your own truth and narrative. But in journalism, you're trying to really provide a wide lens that's factual and important for a wide audience.
So. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. What about you? Like, you know, any other maybe significant experiences there? Or you know, maybe like your friends that you still have in contact with that you couldn't have, you know, maybe gone through your CalU time or have really shaped your life, you know, even beyond that?
Yeah, so I think first is my dearest friend was also a bridesmaid in my wedding, Katie Gongaware. She is the first person I met in Sigma Kappa that was like, you need to go through recruitment. And I remember being like, I don't even know what that is, but I guess you can tell me what time it is. And so she actually lived 2 apartments below me at what is now Vulcan Village. It was the Jefferson apartment.
Jefferson, it's still Jefferson in your heart, right?
It is. I know. I have a really hard time calling it anything. It is
absolutely
still Jefferson to me. And so she lived 2 apartments directly below me my first year, and remain the closest friends. But she really introduced me to how I could balance my social and educational life and make sure I also had some fun, because my mom was not interested in me having fun at college at all. Like that was not on her agenda. She did not care if I learned that skill. But Katie did care and really introduced me to a group of women that supported me forever. And I still feel that support, as well as 2 of my dear friends, Sarah Perkins and Lisa Carlindsey Smith, who we still have a group text message for pre-COVID, got together on a regular basis for dinner, and our lives have transitioned through many, many periods together, and being able to celebrate one another has done wonders for me in having an adult support system, so to speak.
No, it's definitely the truth, and it's very cool to see that, because it doesn't matter what alumnus or alumni I talk to, doesn't matter what like decade they graduated from CalU from, there's always these like little pockets of like that group that and they carry throughout. So it's real cool to see that, you know. And I agree. That's how our friend group was in the before times. So we would meet up all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Now it's Zoom calls and whatever. I hope that we'll be back to that soon, you know.
Yeah, I think it's so critical for our undergraduate students to hear how those friendships transition, because I can remember graduating, moving to Pittsburgh to go to grad school, and you go from seeing your friends around the clock, 24/7. You're living with most of them. You see them on campus. You eat with them. I mean, it's a little absurd how much time you spend with them when you think about it. And then it just stops. And that post graduation transition is hard. And I don't think we talk about it enough. We just expect undergraduate students to graduate, go out and get a job, and we don't recognize that that middle transition feels like your friend family was ripped away from you, and what that does for your emotions, for your processing. And we miss that step of preparing our students for that.
Absolutely. There's a whole, not to digress here, but as good a time as any, there's a whole field of research about, stress and wellness behaviors and specifically like mental wellness in that transitional period from undergraduate, whether it's to graduate school or to the professional time. I did a little bit of that in my doctoral research, I came across it, but it's very interesting. And you're absolutely right, is that like, that's one of those things that, all these other stressors are out there for our undergraduate students who are transitioning to essentially adulthood at graduation, right? I know you're an adult at 18, but really, the way our industry kind of approaches it, right, is at graduation. And yeah, just like, it's like ripping the Band-Aid off, and that's tough. Absolutely. So you make a good point. All right, well, let's get into some of that fun stuff. Since you did learn how to have a good time, apparently, at Cal U, let's talk about that a little bit, right? This is the running gag on the podcast. It's 3 seasons strong, and I never get tired of the joke, but I'm sure our listeners do. But that being said, do you have a favorite non-class, so non-academic, outside of class, PG-13, because this is the PG-13 version of the podcast, memory? Like, is there one memory that maybe stands out more so than others at Cal U? And it's hard, I know, like putting you on the spot, because there's probably a ton of memories that you have. I know for me there is, and there's some that I don't have, but I heard that they're pretty good, right? But is there one that stands out, one memory in particular that stands out that you recall maybe more fondly than all the other ones?
Yeah. Wow, that is putting me on the spot. Okay, I have to think about them because there's so many. But I think I'm gonna go with Greek Week, which for Fraternity and Sorority Life is just a week-long competition along with some philanthropy. And it was just my favorite time. It always happens, well, it did when I was there. It happens in the spring when the weather was like just starting to get nice. And so in between every class, you could go out and play like soccer, also Sigma Kappa, highly competitive. I happen to be highly competitive, so that really feeds right into like my, need to win sometimes. And so, and I actually, my like secret skill is foosball. And so my sorority sister Heather and I crushed the foosball competition every year. And so that's like also one of my secret foosball skills.
Awesome.
So I love Greek Week.
Yeah, no, great. Duly noted. And Greek Week, stay away from Summer on the foosball table. Great stuff there. All right, more fun stuff. We're building the Cal U Ultimate Party playlist that we'll unveil later this fall. So what song reminds you the most of your time at Cal U?
Renegade. I'm going to go with,
Like Styx Renegade?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me write that one down. I got to add that to the list here.
But I also have to give that because I know that it was Angela Swallow who introduced me to that song, played it like on every playlist. I'm sure it's because she's a huge Steelers fan. And being a Pittsburgh transplant, so I did not grow up here, had to learn how to love the Steelers.
Yeah, it's tough to swallow sometimes.
Yeah, it would be that, or I'm going to add a second song. I'm sorry.
Oh, we can do 2. That's okay. We'll let it slide.
At first I panicked. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to pick.
Well, I will tell you this. As of our recording today, Renegade by Styx was not on the playlist. So, yeah, so we're cool with that. So you get a bonus one, too. Let's go.
So my bonus is going to be a completely left turn from Renegade. But it is Britney Spears' Toxic, because Sigma Kappa used that song when we won Greek Sing one year.
I recall that. So
yeah, I'm really throwing it back now. Like that is
there for that one. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll add those 2 definitely to the playlist as we get ready to release it later this fall. All right. On to the great food debate. What's the best meal you ever ate at Cal U? Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be on campus. It can be off campus as well. But do you have a favorite food or favorite?
Yes, beer cheese from Loggerheads.
I can't go wrong with the lager cheese.
Yes. So
And I like how that was very decisive too. There was no hesitation.
No hesitation.
So we appreciate that. Well, Summer, again, I want to thank you very much for taking the time out today. I know it's super busy as we're recording this. You know, you're right in the midst of the move-in day at Pitt, and so thanks for taking the time out to join us today. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. So Ryan, I do want to say one more thing because I realized I completely forgot. And when he listens, he's going to mention that I forgot this. But I also met my partner at CalU. So
we always like to hear about CalU couples.
Yeah, so we are a CalU couple. We met going into my sophomore year. And so Michael, who we've been married for 12 years. I had to do the math real quick. So sorry. He would have to do the math as well too. But we've been married for 12 years and is just an amazing partner, parent with me. We parent 2 children. And so from CalU memory is also the fact that I did find my dear life partner, and we have enjoyed navigating post-CalU life for many years now.
That's awesome. Well, we always like to see those Vulcan couples for sure. So before we sign off here, finally, Summer, is there, I know you said, and we always like to plug the side hustles, but you said small business, right?
Yeah, thank you.
You know, and in addition to that, maybe some of our listeners might want to connect with you from your work at Pitt, things like that. So can they find you on LinkedIn, or, you know, how could they maybe reach you that way? And then let us know about your side business too.
Yeah, so they can find me on LinkedIn, as well as my Pitt email is directory searchable, so it's really easy to find. But very proudly opened a small business. I do have a website, which I'll share, but I own Leo and Lynn Jewelry, which is handmade, all made by me. I am a solopreneur, as I call myself. Nice. Handmade gemstone and resin jewelry, wearing some because I couldn't do this without wearing some. Really
shameless plug.
Yeah, not shameless at all. Absolutely a plug. Focused on jewelry that is high quality, always nickel free, and is really perfect for everyday casual, really make you feel like your best self. And so it is www.leolynnjewelry.com.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we share that at our posting time as well. So very cool. And to our listeners and viewers, make sure you're buying local, right? Support CalU businesses. You can check out our business directory online, calu.edu/alumni. If you have a small business and you'd like to get it featured, the listing's free. Just have to fill the form out. So you can contact us there. But again, for Summer Rothrock, Summer, again, thank you so much for joining us today. But for Summer, I'm Ryan Barnhart. This is the Vulcan Nation. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.